The summer sun hung high over the English countryside, bathing the rolling fields in golden light. For months, a team of archaeologists had been surveying the land, searching for traces of the past. The site was nothing more than a grassy meadow at first glance, but ground scans had hinted at something unusual beneath the soil. When the first spade struck earth, none of them knew just how extraordinary the discovery would be. By mid-morning, the trench stretched wide, revealing the outline of what appeared to be a burial. The soil was carefully peeled away layer by layer, brushes replacing shovels as the team approached something delicate. Slowly, the shape of a skeleton began to emerge, its bones faint but unmistakable against the brown earth. At the center of the grave, resting beside the warrior's remains, lay an object that quickened every heartbeat. The rusted yet unmistakable form of an Anglo-Saxon sword. Its blade, though corroded with age, still carried the aura of power, the symbol of a warrior who once held honor and authority. Near the warrior's chest, the remnants of a shield boss were uncovered, and at the feet, fragments of personal items, iron fittings, pottery shards, and hints of jewelry. The air around the trench felt electric. Each brushstroke seemed to peel back time itself. The lead archaeologist, Dr. Eleanor Harding, whispered that this was no ordinary burial. The quality of the artifacts suggested that the man interred here had been of significant status, perhaps a noble warrior, maybe even a chieftain. The Anglo-Saxon period, spanning from the 5th to 11th centuries, was a defining era in English history. These were the centuries of kingdoms forming, of warriors defending their land, and of culture taking root in the soil of Britain. Yet much about the daily lives, beliefs, and funerary practices of the Anglo-Saxons remains shrouded in mystery. Every discovery is a precious puzzle piece that brings scholars closer to understanding how these people lived and died. The sword itself was a marvel. Though time had eaten away much of its surface, the weapon's design was still evident. Archaeologists speculated it had once been double-edged, forged with intricate craftsmanship that symbolized both martial skill and social prestige. In Anglo-Saxon society, the sword was not simply a tool of war, it was a badge of honor, often passed down generations as a family treasure. Nearby, the discovery of beads suggested the presence of a necklace or garment adornment. Pottery fragments hinted at offerings, possibly food or drink, placed with the warrior to accompany him into the afterlife. These subtle details added human depth to the story. Someone had mourned this man, carefully laying him to rest with objects of meaning. As the day passed, the trench became a window into the past. Visitors and local residents gathered near the site, peering in awe at the scene. To them, it felt like stepping into a forgotten world. The skeleton was no longer just bones. It was a bridge across centuries, a silent voice speaking of courage, loss, and memory. Dr. Harding explained to her team and the onlookers that Anglo-Saxon burials often reflected a mixture of pagan traditions and later Christian influence. This grave, with its weaponry and goods, suggested it dated to the earlier pagan centuries, before Christianity reshaped burial customs. The warrior had been laid to rest as if still prepared for battle, ready to face the unknown in death as he had in life. For the archaeologists, the discovery was not just about the objects, but the story they told. Every bone, every artifact, every soil stain carried information. The position of the skeleton's hands, the angle of the sword, the placement of the shield, all were clues to rituals, beliefs, and identity. By evening, as the last rays of sunlight stretched across the trench, the team carefully recorded the site with photographs, drawings, and notes. The sword would be taken to a conservation lab where experts would work to stabilize and preserve it. The bones would be studied by osteologists, who could reveal details about the warrior's age, health, and even cause of death. But even before the analyses began, the emotional weight of the find was undeniable. Here lay a man who had lived more than a millennium ago, his story buried until today. Though time had erased his name, the soil had preserved his memory, waiting patiently to be uncovered. For the villagers who lived nearby, the discovery sparked pride and wonder. Children asked questions about who the warrior might have been, while elders reflected on how the land beneath their feet held secrets of ancestors long gone. For the scientists, it was another step in the endless journey of piecing together humanity's shared past. The Anglo-Saxon warrior's grave was not just a discovery of bones and artifacts, it was a reminder. A reminder that history lives beneath us, that every field, every hill, and every riverbank might hide the echoes of untold stories. And on this bright summer day, one such story was finally given a voice.